Jockey Box Setup 101. Okay, for those of you that work in festivals, we kind of wanted to put this video together so you would be able to reference it at any time, whether you're in the field, prior to a festival, anytime you might have a problem, you can reference this video and hopefully it'll help you work through it. What you have here is your basic festival setup. You got your festival tote, which has all of your party pumps, pitchers, tool bag, all of that in there. Also important, your festival ABC permit. If you ever ask for it, you will need that. You've got a standard jockey box. This one has 2 faucets. You've got your keg bucket, ice. You got your dump bucket with your CO2 rigs and Sankeys. You got your CO2 and of course your beer. We're going to be using these items here today, so I'm going to set this one aside. We will be needing this little red bag. This is your friend. You will need it, I guarantee it. Make sure that everything you need is in this bag. Make sure everything you need gets put back in this bag. Okay, so first thing we want to do when we get to the site is we want to get our beer on ice. A lot of things will affect the way beer pours. Temperature, the beer itself, the type of beer has different carbonation levels in it. Let's see, loose fitting beer. If you rolled it down the hill on the way in, I'm sure you've opened and shaken up a can of soda or something before. So first thing you want to do is get your beer on ice. So you're going to put your beer in the bucket. Remember, the beer is served from the bottom of the keg, so you don't necessarily have to fill the whole bucket with ice, but you do want to get the bottom layer of it covered. Okay, now that your beer is on ice, set that out of the way. And if you're using half barrels, make sure you use 2 people to lift them. This is a partial half barrel, so I was able to lift it, but they weigh about 180 pounds. We don't want anybody getting hurt. Okay, next thing we're going to do is start working on our jockey box assembly. Inside your jockey box, note that you have 2 beer hoses. When you put your jockey box away, make sure there's 2 beer hoses in the jockey box. Your coils, faucets, excuse me. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to ice this down. You want this full of ice. This is what is going to make sure that you are pouring ice cold beer for the festival goers. If the festival organizer is not providing ice, make sure that you grab enough ice from the tap room and load up an extra cooler. Okay, once you get loaded with ice, next thing you're going to do is hook up your beer hoses. Before you hook up your hoses, you must inspect your hoses. There should be a black washer in each fitting. Notice there is not a washer in this one. My beer is not going to pour properly. Should this happen? No. Does it happen? All the time. Have we thought through it? Yes. In your bag, you have everything that you need. This has washers, channel locks, wrenches, tape, twine, zip ties, crescent wrenches, screwdrivers, channel locks. Whatever you need is in this bag. If you come up with something that you need that's not in this bag, let me know. It'll get in the bag. Okay, so you're going to confirm the washers are in place and hook it up to the jockey box. Just snug is fine. You don't have to over tighten it. If you under tighten it though, it will suck air and your beer will pour foamy. Check your second line. Make sure that it has the washers in it. This one does. And again, just hand tight is fine. You want to confirm all of your fittings are good and tight. Make sure your faucets are tight. If they're not, inside the bag is a faucet wrench. You tighten up your faucets by hooking that wrench in that hole and turning it like that. Okay, this box is ready to go. Next thing we're going to do is position the box. We're going to move on to our CO2. CO2 rig is in the dump bucket. Make sure when you leave the festival, the CO2 rig is the only thing in the bucket. Pull out the CO2 rig. Let's go through this real quick. What do you have here? You got a regulator. This regulates the amount of pressure that you're delivering to the beer. It also tells you the amount of pressure inside the CO2 tank itself. Then you have your beer Sankies for hooking up to the keg just like you would in the tap room. Okay, this can be a little tricky, but if you take your time, it's no big deal. Note on the regulator there is a seal that's built in. Confirm that that's there and there's no debris. Any debris will cause it to leak. It will then line that up and you simply turn that, make sure it's straight, otherwise it will leak. Snug it up by hand. Like so. And then give it a 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch turn with the channel locks. Okay, your CO2 is now connected and ready to go. Next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that this CO2 rig is in a secure place where it won't fall over. If you're in the middle of a festival, this falls over and this breaks, you won't be pouring any more beer. And as you know, a lot of festivals, you go, you can't leave until the end of the festival. So make sure that that is secure. If it's not, if you don't have a secure place, get some twine, tie it to your bucket, anything to help it not fall over. Okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to hook up our beer line. Again, confirm that the washer is in there. If that washer is not in place, it is not going to work. You're going to put that on your Sankey. Hand tight. That's ready to go. Next thing we'll do is we'll put this on the keg. Tap the keg. Confirm that our faucets are closed, because there is pressure in the keg already. Then you'll press down on the Sankey. We're almost ready to pour. Okay, our beer is hooked up, ready to pour, but we have not opened the CO2 tank yet. We've got to get pressure into the keg to push the beer through the line and out of the jockey box itself. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here to our CO2 rig, confirm that the CO2 to the tanks is closed. Remember, if your valve is in line, that means it's open. If it's perpendicular, it is closed. We're going to open our tank. We don't appear to have any leaks. I'm not hearing any leaks. Okay, then we're going to open our CO2 line. Make a note here. This is at 20 psi. Most likely that's going to give us some grief. Your kegs are usually packaged at around 15 pounds per square inch, or 15 psi, or just under a bar. So before we open that, we want to reduce that. If you see the screwdriver end here, all you need to do is get a screwdriver from your handy dandy tool bag, which is your friend, as long as everybody puts the tools back in it. We're going to grab a screwdriver. We're going to adjust this down by turning left. Okay, as you can see, the pressure is coming down. I like to drop all the way down to about, now remember, this is PSI in the black. You can always tell by looking at here. And the red is the bar. I like to drop down to around 10 PSI and then work my way back up if I need to. And then I'm going to open this. It jumped because of the keg, the pressure in the keg. If you remember, I told you the keg that pressurized it around 15 PSI. You can see it's right at 16. Okay. Now you're ready to pour beer. If everything goes well, you're ready for the festival. So we're gonna pour a pint off because we leave sanitizer in the lines. So as you see, the sanitizer come out first, then the beer. Okay. Now, if you note, I was pouring real slowly. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn up our pressure a little bit. And don't go crazy. Just turn it half a turn and do it again until you get right. I prefer to pour a little faster than that, so I'm going to turn it up a little bit more. And there you go. Frosty, cold, Pumpalicious. Sometimes you're just going to have a problem and this thing's not going to work. Okay, so if you have a tap that's not working, it's not pouring, that you can't get right, abandon it. Grab a party pump from your festival box and just pump it with the party pump. You don't want to be there all day with it, trying to figure out, troubleshoot this. But remember, start low and raise it accordingly. Cheers.